be a mess, because people who really love and respect you want you to be a human person, which means being a mess. Like, you cannot remove mess and messiness from the human experience. You just need somebody who, when your soil is dry, they will water it for you because they want you to thrive. Welcome back to the Neurodivergent Creative Podcast. So, hey, hi, it's March. I, for one, am very excited that it is warmer outside. It reached 60 degrees in Akron, Ohio yesterday, and the sun is out, and the daffodils are coming up. It's springtime, and as great as that is, I also have a traumaversary in March. And this is something that I am sure that I've talked about on here before, and something that I talk about all over my social medias, which is that I left my abuser in March 7 years ago. So this month I am celebrating 7 years since I did one of the bravest things that I have ever done, which was totally just nuke my life and start over. It was pretty rough. Around the same time, I also had the last contact with my bio parents. I have since gotten back in touch with my dad, and that's very recent. That's been this year. So I was estranged from him for about 6 or 7 years there. And that's been a little weird to adjust back to like being part of my family again. Like, I was still speaking to my aunt and my cousins here and there, but it wasn't like we weren't tight like we used to be. And so that has just been like a whole process. So I'm going to give you like a little update on Caitlin, and then we're going to do the episode. So yeah, I tend to do better energy-wise and mental health-wise in the spring and summer because the sun is out and it's beautiful and it's warm again, and I don't have to be cold all the time and my joints hurt in the winter time. So yeah, I'm pretty excited about that. And at the same time, even though my mental health is improving, I am also going into like a tough period emotionally because it just, if you've heard of the book, The Body Keeps the Score by Bessel van der Kolk, this is the body keeping the score. Like, my body will remember that during this time of year, we went through something really hard, really tough. And I am equipped in a way that I have not been equipped before to handle this. I've been doing a lot more in therapy, especially as I unpack this OCD stuff. And so I'm going through the dialectical behavioral therapy handbook or workbook or guidebook or whatever it is with the help of my therapist. And I am quite honestly a little furious that I am learning ways to manage my brain and my emotions and my thoughts that I have been previously unaware of. And I'm nearly 37. And I'm like, why didn't anybody teach me that black and white thinking is not healthy? Lots of black and white thinking. And I think honestly, that might be part of the disconnect between me being like, oh, it's springtime, so that's better, right? I should be better. And then the trauma comes in and is like, oh, but for like the last week of March, you feel like crap. And I'm like, but no, it's better. It's springtime. I should be better. And then those two things fight with each other because my brain is primed to be like, things are either one or the other. And I don't know why I didn't figure this out being a bisexual, non-binary person, but things do not exist in a strict binary. That is not the way that things happen in reality, usually. There's nuance, there's gray, there's mess. And just letting things be messy has been really, really freeing. Great example of letting something be messy. So over the weekend, my therapist actually told me about this market in Canton where they had really cheap produce. And he said it was super cute, super cheap. And I was like, I want to go. I love shopping for groceries at local places. I love shopping for groceries and getting cheap prices. I love a bargain. And I was really interested in going to this place. And I asked my partner, will you come with me? Because he doesn't generally like to leave the house. And sometimes running an errand on the weekend is the only time he sees the sun. And so I like to get him out of the house a little bit. We're going to this market and my partner starts to kind of shut down. He gets very quiet. He's giving me one word answers and I'm trying to engage him. I'm like, oh, look at this. They have that. Do you want some of this? Do you want to try cheese? Do you want to get in a pie? Do you want to get Swedish fish in a bulk container? And he's like, no. At one point he kind of walked away from me and I'm picking up that the vibes are off and that he is not having a good time in this market. And so like I'm stressed out. And my way of like trying to help him be less stressed out is to offer him candy, right? That's what I was doing. Candy and cheese. Do you want this? And so he's trying to keep it together because he doesn't want me to have to cut my shopping trip short for his benefit. So he is currently overwhelmed, overstimulated. It's crowded. He doesn't like it. He doesn't want to be in here, but he also doesn't want to tell me that he's having a bad time because that'll affect me. Then I'll cut it short and I won't get what I wanted to do, which is to go to the market. Really quite sweet of him, except that he is slowly eroding my sense of like knowing what's happening because he's like just shutting down. And I'm like, this is my fault. I brought him to a place where he's shutting down. And so unbeknownst to either of us, we're just in our own heads with our own trauma. So my trauma is saying, your partner's having a bad time and that's your fault. You should have known he would have a bad time. You shouldn't have invited him, or you should have told him to wait in the car or whatever. Somehow you messed up. He's having a bad time and that's your fault. And I'm fully believing this because yeah, that's how I was raised, right? I was blamed for somebody else's bad time. I was a target of someone's ire for anything, really. I just became a very convenient place to put that frustration. And so I learned that frustration is my fault. And then he is experiencing this thing of like, well, my partner is having a good time and I don't want them to take it personally that I'm not. And so he is just trying to sort of like dissociate and go into his own head and like get through the process. And by the time we get home, I'm like, something is wrong here. I'm very emotional. I am feeling scared and sad and like abandoned. Like I feel dejected and unwanted and broken and all these terrible things. And I'm like, this can't all be about him. Like some of this is about me and my past and things that I've been through. And so I'm like, I need 20 minutes. That's something that I learned from Bluey. Okay. Cause Chili is like, I need 20 minutes where nobody talks to me. And then Bluey and Bingo are like, oh shit, mom's mad at us. Oh, we should go talk to mom. We should try and make it better. And then Bandit has to try and keep them away from Chili for 20 minutes. And it's a really good episode, honestly. If you haven't watched Bluey, you should do it. It'll heal your childhood trauma. Well, it'll help. Obviously, you're still going to be a little bit crazy pants and then make a podcast about your sadness after going to the market. Okay, so I asked for 20 minutes. I am doing the dishes. I wanted to eat some soup, but we didn't have any clean bowls. And I was like, the sink is full of dishes. So I'm going to do the dishes and then I'm going to make some soup. And so I do that. And after about 20 minutes, he comes in and he's like, hey, how you doing? I just want to check in. I'm worried about you. And I'm like, I don't know what's wrong, which is code for I'm upset and it's about you. And I'm scared of that. And I don't know how to tell you because I don't really know exactly what's going on inside me. Like it is not a direct proportional response to our interaction at this market. And he sits down with me and he's like, I think you're upset that I didn't have a good time. And I was like, I felt really bad that I took you somewhere and you didn't like it. And he explained that he was overwhelmed. And I was like, you could tell me that. And then he was like, I don't want to upset you. I didn't want you to take it personally. Like I was fine. I just had to like go into my own head. And so we sat there and we talked about it. And after you've been in an abusive relationship, it can be so weird to be in a healthy one because like I did feel scared to tell him that I was upset about the way he acted because how that would have gone in the past is like if I told my partner, well, like I asked you to go and then you went and you weren't happy the whole time. And I felt bad that I took you somewhere that made you feel miserable. Like my ex would be like, but I went, didn't I? Like I went to make you happy and you can't demand of me that I feel happy while I'm doing it. And like he just would have gone down this cascade of things that shamed me for having any kind of feeling or reaction or anything. And thus I learned over time to just stop bringing stuff up, which is part of the abuse. FYI, one of the tactics of abusers is to just make it such a pain in the ass to try and communicate with them that you stop bringing up important things because it's not worth the fight and the misunderstanding and all that crap. So I tell him all this stuff and I'm like, well, here's how I reacted. Like it made me feel bad. Like I could have helped you have a better day. Right. And I didn't. And you had a bad day because of me. And he was like, I didn't have a bad day because of you. Like I was having my own reaction and I was worried that if I cut you short, like cut your shopping trip short, that then you would be upset with me. And so in his mind, his trauma is such that like he was not allowed to ask to leave a place. You know, he was not allowed to have a boundary. He was not allowed to say, I'm overstimulated, I need to go sit down, because then his ex would start a fight with him over it. And also apparently if she asked for 20 minutes, I did not know that that was a triggerable phrase for him, but she would ask for some time to think about things. And then she would spend that whole time like spinning up an argument and then go start a fight with him. And that is just not who I am as a person. I don't like fighting. I don't want to fight with you. I don't want to fight with anybody, really. And he was able to trust me and he gave me that time. And then we came back together and everything was fine. And like we just had to lay it all out. And we had to explain where each of us was coming from and how that trauma affected us. And at the end of the day, we were like closer and we felt like we knew each other, 1% better, because we were able to talk about these things. And the safety of being able to be a mess with your partner, me being able to say, I don't quite know what is wrong yet, and him still wanting to talk to me about it is huge for me, because my abuser, who I left 7 years ago now, and yet still affects me to this day, because that's what trauma does, right? You don't just get over it. He would simultaneously, if I came to him after I had thought something through and I was like, hey, there's been kind of a pattern of this going on. And, I've tried to handle it these ways and it's still a problem for me. And so I wanted to bring it up so that we could discuss it, right? Like I would have a checklist of a process to go through before I brought something to his attention. And then he would say, how long has this been bothering you? Like you shouldn't sit on things. You should tell me right away when there's a problem, because I don't want you to sit there and be hurting like this forever. And so I'm like, oh, okay, he wants me to tell him when something's wrong. And so then if I bring something up that's not all thought through, then he starts poking holes in my argument and like trying to weasel out of whatever I'm trying to say and twist it around back on me. Like one time I asked him to turn off a lamp he had turned on, and he was like, well, sometimes you leave the kitchen light on at night. I was like, that has nothing to do with this lamp. Like, if you have a problem with me and the kitchen light, please talk to me about me and the kitchen light. Nothing to do with the lamp. But it was just always like, well, no, that's not really a problem, which is why I started sitting on things longer and trying to solve them on my own. And then finally going to him. And then he says, don't sit on things. Don't tell me. So then I tell him right away. And he's like, well, I don't see what the problem is. Like, you don't really have like a problem going on. Like you're just annoyed with me. And again, it just makes you so tired that you stop trying. And that has never been a problem in my relationship now. I told him once, my current partner, my forever partner, the partner I think I'm going to be with for the rest of my life, God forbid anything terrible happens that makes that untrue. But I can't even imagine anywhere else. I got so distracted by how much I love him that I forgot what I was saying. I told him once that he has seen more of my anger than any other partner. And he was like, isn't that bad? Is it bad that you're more angry with me? And I'm like, no, that's not what I said. I'm not more angry with you. You have seen more of my anger, because it was not safe for me to be angry in past relationships. It wasn't safe for me to be angry with my parents. It wasn't safe for me to be angry with my husband. It wasn't safe for me to be angry with a lot of people in my life and partners in my life. And the fact that I can just go be a mess and just say like, I'm upset and I'm not 100% sure why. And I just wanted to tell you, because he helps me get less upset. He helps me regulate the dysregulated emotions. He helps me get safe again, because he's a safe partner. And that over time, eventually, I hope, will make March less shitty, because I know that I can just go to my partner and be a mess and say, I'm just in my feelings because 7 years ago today, my ex-husband was having me stalked as I moved out of my house. Pretty understandable trauma, right? And he'll be like, do you want sushi? Yeah, I want sushi. And he just does something to take my mind off it or to make me feel better or whatever it is. And it is so, so invaluable as a neurodivergent person, as two neurodivergent people. We are both autistic and ADHD. We both have past traumas. Like we have a lot of things in common, but our traumas and our neurodivergences appear differently. So that's always a navigation. That's always something that you have to work through. But just being able to embrace that it doesn't have to be black and white. It doesn't have to be, I have fully processed all of my emotions and I'm ready now to do a communication with you, versus stay silent because you're not allowed to communicate unless you know exactly what you're communicating. Not true. Very untrue for human beings. We often do not have the perfectly figured out end result of whatever is going on inside of us. We can talk through that with a partner, with a friend, with a therapist and work it out. You can't demand of yourself or somebody else that they have to have all the shit together before they bring up a conflict or before they bring up something that concerns them or that they're dysregulated about. Being a partner in a partnership means allowing that person to be human. And I think that's what I have been missing in a lot of my relationships for my whole life, is that I got into a lot of these relationships because I did something for the partner. They loved me because I provided something, whether that was, wifely duties of cooking and cleaning and doing whatever. The abusive ex, one of the reasons that I moved in with him so quickly is because he had gotten divorced and he was like, I don't even know where the sheets are in my house. Oh, so sad. And I just wish I had been like, why don't you know where the sheets are in your house? That's pretty basic. You should know where your clean sheets are because you are a person who lives in a house. I'm pretty sure they only go one place. I'm pretty sure your wife wasn't hiding them in different locations like Easter eggs, okay? And he fucking knew where the sheets were, is the thing. But he told me he was so sad. He's like, I might have to file bankruptcy. Oh, I don't even know where the sheets are. Oh, how will I iron my own underwear? Or whatever bullshit, incompetent nonsense he was feeding me. And I was 25 years old. So I'm like, I can do all that for you. I'll come save you. I'll come take care of you. And that man locked him down a sentient fuck Roomba. And that's what I was, 6 years, just there to take care of him because he was incompetent on purpose. I don't have that anymore. Now I have somebody who knows where the sheets are and doesn't pretend like he doesn't know how to do things. The difference is staggering, my friends. Yeah. So competent partnerships, being with somebody because you love that person and you respect that person and you want to build a future with that person, as opposed to getting into a relationship because you can provide a service for a person and they like that. So they try to treat you nice sometimes. So you stick around. That's bullshit nonsense. We're not doing it. Leave it in 2024. Leave it in 2018 if you're me. We had a few little situationships in there where I was not doing my best. But for the past 5 years, I've been in a very healthy relationship and an actual partnership with somebody who cares about me and not what I do for him. And that's huge. So this whole episode is to say, be a mess, because people who really love and respect you want you to be a human person, which means being a mess. You cannot remove mess and messiness from the human experience. It is a messy thing to be. We are complicated houseplants with nervous systems and emotions and trauma. And you just need somebody who, when your soil is dry, they will water it for you because they want you to thrive. My ex, to keep the same metaphor, if my soil had been dry, he would have been like, why don't you just water yourself? He didn't have any part in my care. I had to take care of both of us. And honestly, that's one of the realizations that helped me leave, was I was like, I can't have a baby with this man. I am already taking care of him full time. I will cease to be my own person if we have a child. So I was like, that seems like an unhealthy relationship. No. And then that helped me leave. Lots of things helped me leave, including Lexapro and Carrie Fisher. So that's a story for another time. In the meantime, I would love to celebrate our March Patreon supporters, thank you for your support. You make episodes of the Neurodivergent Creative Podcast possible, and we are $200 away from going up to 4 episodes a month. So we are closing in on our goal. Let's do it. And thank you to these folks. We have Alexis, Amaris, Atan, Avery, Bay, Beth, Bird, Brennan, Casey, Shelb, Deidre, Emily, Frankie, Jack, Jesse, Kitty, Max, Mia, Nell, Nicola, Samaya, Stephanie, and Teresa. So thank you all for your ongoing support. I appreciate you very much. And for those of you who are interested in the Patreon, in addition to just financially supporting this podcast, you are also helping me create a mutual aid network where I get my financial needs met through the Patreon. Therefore, I can do more free stuff, more low-cost things. I can reduce my rates for coaching because I primarily serve the neurodivergent community, and it usually overlaps with the chronically ill, disabled, and or queer communities as well. And so I want to keep it as financially accessible as possible. So to do that, I need your $9 a month. If you can swing $9 a month, you get a free sticker after 3 months at that level. There are a couple other tiers that also come with some exclusive merch that will drop every 3 months for the first year, and you should go check it out. There should be a link in the show notes. Okay, see you guys later. This has been an episode about being messy and being human and not existing in the black and white binary of good and bad, right and wrong. We are complicated people, and that's okay.